Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a fantastic week. We are going to be talking about interest rates. We are going to be talking about corporate investors. We're going to be talking about contracts, your buyer's contracts, and we're going to be talking about what's going on with still multiple offers, tons and tons of multiple offers. When several experts have said that this right now is going to be the massive cooling off. We're going to have massive price reductions, and maybe in some markets that might happen. I saw a headline, not that I actually read the story, but there was a headline saying that in California there were some price reductions. I don't know anything about the California market. Don't even ask me about it. All I know is that's what the headline read. I didn't read the story, but I did read plenty of stories about the Atlanta market. And I wanted to have somebody that you guys probably remember I've had on several times. His name's Matt LaMarsh, and he's going to be talking about the Atlanta market. He's going to be talking about what's going on there. He's going to be talking about our corporate investors. And you get to ask us your questions that you have about real estate after we have a little discussion about this article that I found today. So look who we got here. It's Matt LaMarsh. All right. Realtor extraordinary. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing really well. If you could just follow me around and introduce me in every room that way, that would be phenomenal. I'd appreciate that.
Sure. So, Matt, before we get in the article, we just talked a little bit, and I said, no, we're going to save this for the show. I know that, people have been presented, seriously, 29, 30 offers, minutes before, as the listing has hit the market, you're already getting offers. No one's even seen the house. No one's ever even seen the house, and they're getting offers. I want to ask you, how do you put those offers in order for the sellers themselves? Because what I found interesting is when I was talking to somebody, they said that the people that haven't even seen the house actually go on a different list. They're actually moved over from the top offer list. They're moved to the side, and then the actual offers of people that came to the house go to the top. But I'm interested to hear what you do as far as what makes those offers as a listing agent hit the top of the list.
Sure. So I'm a pretty simple guy. Ask my wife. Food and my car, and we'll be good. But I have to keep things in order. So I'm a chronological guy. I love the point, though, that you just made there about the people that are doing sight unseen, because unless they've proven themselves over and over again with a transaction actually going through, and I do have a buyer right now that is coming here to the Atlanta area from Austin, actually, and he bought his last house sight unseen, and the progress, it went through perfectly, no issues, no hiccups. And so, if you've got a track record, I think that's a great point. But for me, I got to do it chronologically. Not that my system is perfect by any stretch, but now our job is just as difficult, if not more difficult, as listing agents to be able to navigate the waters of these different stipulations and escalation clause. I mean, everyone thinks it's a swim right now, and it is not. I'm looking at a pile of 30 offers, and it's like, where do we even begin with this stuff? You look at the numbers, and then you try to go, and it's just a lot. It's a lot right now.
Because contracts have all sorts of, it isn't just the price. It isn't just
Correct.
closing costs. It isn't just, there's all sorts of other little nuances in those contracts. Of course, then you have to separate it out with inspection periods and who's letting go and of appraisal and which ones are cash. And if none of them are cash, who has the best financing?
Right.
Who's putting down the largest down payment? I mean, you got 30 of those. That's a lot. That's a lot of work. You think it's so cut and dry, but it's really not.
Right. And I think if you work both sides, it actually gives you much better perspective, because I haven't had a listing in probably 5 months now. So, and even in just this 4 or 5 months, things have changed pretty dramatically here. So obviously you're still getting a ton of offers, but now people are getting very, very smart with their special stipulations and saying no due diligence, but we do want the right to inspect. Well, those are basically like the same thing. Now, obviously, when it comes to earnest money in your contract where you live may be different, but here in Atlanta, it's pretty cut and dry. They can back out if they want to, as a result of repairs or issues that come up in the inspection period based on that separate document. So just because it says a zero there doesn't always mean zero. You really gotta You got to know your stuff. And I'm always asking questions. I mean, they change these contracts all the time. So you really got to stay on top of this stuff.
So I was telling Matt before the show started, they changed the Louisiana contract. And since I don't go to like all the Louisiana real estate stuff all the time, like I should, they like all of a sudden they're like, you have to use this contract. And I'm pulling it up to go type two offers for two separate people. And I went, this is not our contract. I don't know what this is. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to put my name on that. I'm not going to fake it till I make it. So I called my friend who's actually a broker too. And she even works for a different company than I do, but she's my best friend. She's actually my daughter's godmother. And so I was like, okay, Darla, here, take these. And she took them over. She's like, yeah, I got this. I got it. So, I would much rather have my clients in somebody's hands that I know, that I trust, that will put a contract together like I would, than try to fake a new contract and be like, well, let's hope it all works out. I never
Exactly.
do that. Never do that.
Yeah, and here in Georgia, everyone's name is on the bottom of the contract here. So, we were kind of talking about this before, but the liability that we already have as agents just to represent people is one thing. Then you put us in the hottest sellers or the hottest buyers market. It doesn't really matter where we are, right? Even in a balanced market, we still have a ton of liability. And so if you're e-signing some of this stuff, you better know what those contracts say and what they mean, more importantly, because again, special stipulations, addendums that are coming across, even context in the email body of what people are sending in, I think is really, really important. It gives you a better understanding of the other agent on the other side, the buyers, sellers, all of it. So if anything, it makes you slow down.
Well, I like take pride on the fact that like before they changed it, I knew that contract really, really, really well. Like so well that the other person on the other side, if they ever challenged me, boy, I was aimed and ready to go. Like I was locked and loaded. And with that new one, I didn't have that confidence. And if I don't have that confidence, I'm not putting my name on it. Forget it. Forget it. All right, let's jump into our article. Oh, we got our moderators here too. We got Lawnmower and Debbie and Jennifer Lego, Corn Homestead. Oh, we got all of our moderators here, man. They're rocking the show. Here we go. All right. Inevitable in the near future, 4 economists and real estate pros on exactly what mortgage rates will hit, when will hit 5%, which is like literally. This is April 4th. We're whispering. I mean, it's blowing on our neck right now. Don't you agree?
Absolutely.
If mortgage rates continue their current trajectory, some experts predict 30-year fixed rates could hit 5%, which they're going to, within the next month or so. But others say timeline is going to be a bit longer. I don't think so. Whenever rates hit at this benchmark, one thing is clear. Though 5% mortgage rates considered historically low, it will significantly signify that the highest level for rates in about the last decade. While rates got very close to reaching a high of 4.94% in November 2018, they did not reach 5% according to data from Freddie Mac. Let's go to Hale thinks we're close to hitting 5%, even if the rates slow their current recent pace of increase. They're likely to hit 5% mid-year unless something big changes in the outlook, she says. And Jeff Osorowski, close enough, analyst at Bankrate, thinks it could happen even sooner. He notes the rates have been climbing sharply to hit 4.59 and Bank rates last weekly survey lenders. It's quite possible that the upward trend will continue and that rates will hit 5% in the spring. Sometime this spring, he says. Okay, before we go any further, keep this up, Eddie. Matt, do you think it's going to hit 5% by the summer?
I think so. Just based on where we currently are. I mean, just the last 2 weeks, I feel like have been berserk, right? Every time I talk with a lender, I'm like, how you doing, buddy? You doing okay over there? Because, they made pre-qualifications a month ago, 3 months ago that are basically no longer valid anymore, right?
Right.
So yeah, 5%, I think middle of summer, late of summer, easily.
Yeah, and here's the thing that you're like, that's an important point because I've like there are people that are on that cusp, right? So they say they qualified for 300,000. That was their max. And in this market where I live, 300,000 is a very hot number. If it goes up to 5% and they were on that cusp, they no longer qualify for 300,000 because of the fact that interest rates have gone up that much. And that has happened to a few people that were in waiting for a new build to be done. So
Yeah, it's crazy too. And so when we talk about the supply versus the demand issues that we've had here for a while too, you got to believe that a lot of these buyers that were real buyers 6 months ago at 4.25, 3.75, like 3.5. I mean, earlier last year we saw as low as like 2.2. So, I mean, think about the range of that. So, yeah, people that were kind of right on the cusp, like you said, kind of right on the cusp buyers, they're out now if it goes over 5. And they've got to go back through the process. I mean, yeah, yeah.
I know. I'm kind of, we're all over it. Everybody's like, every time I read comments and they're like, yeah, the realtors are laughing all the way to the bank. I'm like, I have not talked to a real estate agent yet that has said, this is the greatest market ever. I just love it. They all hate it. They all hate it. I have not heard anybody say that this is so great. This is fantastic. Maybe the first like 6 months of the pandemic, they're like, thank God things are still moving along, because I really thought I wasn't going to have a job after the country shut down, right?
Seriously.
And then about 9 months, and they're like, boy, this is kind of exhausting. I'm ready for this to slow down. And now people are like, I'm done. I'm so done. I just want one offer, one good offer. That's it. Not 37.
It's both sides too, right? Because I told you I work with 50-50, right? I'm pretty split down the middle, buyers and sellers. But this listing that I've got now is the first one I've had in a little while. And so, the difference between now and 4, 6, 8 months ago is like, what happened here, And you're right. It doesn't matter which, even investors, you talk to agents that represent investors right now, they're like, I mean, what do we do? Do we just wait? Do we look next year? Like, because it's not just the competition, it's the process. Like, everyone that says you sold a house in a day, you didn't do your clients justice. Well, if you got 10 offers, didn't you?
Didn't you? Yeah. Didn't you? All right, let's look at this. Scroll down a bit, my friend, Eduardo. You guys don't know this, but in the background, Eddie has his avatar saying Big Daddy Producer.
Which should stick forever.
Yes. The variables influencing its timing include inflation, the Fed's interest rates hike of 10-year Treasury yields. Indeed, the 10-year Treasury has been in range of 2.4% in the recent days. And if it rises to 3% or higher, the 38-year mortgage rates will likely eclipse 5%. Inflation is likely to trigger higher rates, according to Bob Griffith, General Manager of Home Services at Hausa. The inflation pressure of the Ukraine, COVID-related supply chain disruption could well lead to further rate increases by the Federal Reserve. 5% mortgage rates seem inevitable in the near future, he says. About that quote, it says inflationary pressures from the Ukraine and COVID-related supply chain issues. That was already increasing the price of homes as it was. So if you add this on top of it, that's even increasing even more for someone that's building a brand new home, a new home builder. Even when the rates have kind of like increased to the point that they have right now, people would have thought that this would have dialed back some of the buyers. And like you said, there are some people that are now currently out of that market, but it still made the people that were interested in buying almost go into a frenzy, right?
Correct.
They're in it more now than they ever have been. They are they are so vigilant about looking at their stuff. Like they're texting me at 6 o'clock in the morning. Like, this one came on the market at 12 o'clock last night. Let's go see it now. I'm like, okay. All right. I'm in my pajamas. I haven't brushed my teeth yet. I'm on my way, but it happens, it's what it is.
The ripple effect too of it's not just Ukraine and COVID, right? Like there's a lot of other things that were affected by these things that are changed permanently. that obviously relate to housing as well. So, supply chain is one thing when you're talking about like new construction. I saw someone drop a comment about Boxable. Like, there's a lot of other and good and bad, right? Like there's going to be supply chain issues that affect us permanently forever good and forever bad. And so we also got to look outside of Ukraine and the pandy, because there's going to be a lot of other things that go away completely, and then other new things that come into the fold that weren't there before.
If anything came out of the pandemic, it was the word the pandy, because everybody knows what the pandy is. It sounds like a cute fluffy bear, but no, it's just an evil, terrible virus.
Trying to make it better, yeah.
I'm trying to make it better by making it sound cute and fuzzy, but it's awful. CC Moon says soon trees will have a 30-year mortgage. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. There was something that came up here that somebody mentioned something about this. I'm going to pull this up, Eddie, myself, because I saw it come in the chat really quick. This is just me. Okay. Do you think Boxable products will continue to would contribute to the cooling of the housing prices within the 5 to 7 years? Dan, you're going to hear it straight from my mouth. I don't know how they can possibly make their house at this time at that price. I have yet to have seen them actually deliver those products. They say they're rolling off the assembly line. They say they're delivering them, but who are they delivering them to? Because I don't know of anybody that's bought and invested in them from the beginning that is getting their homes now. There's people that bought pieces of land. There are people that, are waiting for their homes. They're on that wait list, but they don't have a physical home. The amount of orders that they have with the amount of production that they can do right now, it will take 7 years before any of these people will probably ever see a Boxable hit their house, unless they get a lot more machines rolling them out. I love the product. I was there at their factory. I've seen them themselves. I think they have a really good product. I just don't know when they can deliver on their homes. And I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful, but I don't see how they can keep up with that price point. It's like almost impossible at this point. Because when they started that was 2018 at $50,000. Now we're in 2022. How can they possibly do it with the cost of building materials right now? Like, do they have a magic soup of like a line into certain building supply companies? Because I don't know, something's just not clicking for me, and I don't know what that is. When will the Boxable visit it? Okay, so I was supposed to go to Boxable. The investor I was supposed to go with, this is how I know all this, by the way. The investor I was supposed to go with ends up getting COVID. And so we could not go to together at that time. So I end up going to Phoenix, Arizona. They end up going to the Boxable factory themselves. They do a whole entire tour. And that's when they said there's only like 4 machines. And the way that they make it look on the website is like all these machines are like rolling out these houses. She goes, there's like 10 guys like making themselves look busy, like putting stuff together. There wasn't like, wasn't seeing all these houses roll off the assembly line the way they kind of made it seem, She's like, I was very unimpressed. So I got some digging in, and I'm like, well, they say they're delivering. Who's got them? I've yet to have seen anybody say that like they're living in one. And then there was this big rumor that Elon Musk was living in one. Well, he put out a tweet saying, I live in a $50,000 boxed house, but it's not a Boxable. It's another company. I don't know. He's like, that was a great, marketing on their part, but that's not what I live in. It's not a Boxable. Yeah. Anyways, that's what I have to say about that. Anyways, I like them. I hope that they can do what they say they can do. I'm very hopeful. If they can continue to do what they say they could do, I think it could solve a lot of problems in areas that have a lot of people that are houseless. I think it could really make a big difference. But the way I see it and what I know, I don't know how it's possible. But maybe they have an inside track that I don't know about. All right, so let's go back to the article. Let me get off my soapbox. How will a 5% mortgage rate affect the housing market? Pro expert that higher mortgage rates will cool in the housing. Sorry.
Are the
How
aliens coming?
Yeah, they're coming. They're on their way. It says, how will pros expect the higher mortgage rates will cool the housing market somewhat? At the 5% rate, home sales this year may even fall by 10%, which I mean, maybe by the end of the year, but somebody was saying 21% by the end of summer. I don't even know how that's possible. Dr. Lawrence Young, chief economist for the National Association of Realtors, predicts that an average of 5% would squeeze affordability and dampen the demand. Affordability hasn't been affordable for over 2 years now. However, there's still a severe shortage of homes. There we go. Shortage of homes for the sale, and the lack of supply is more of an important driver for home prices than mortgage rates. That is it. That is it.
Yeah,
What do you
that
what
would
do
be
you want
really
to say?
helpful. I would love that, honestly, for like a good month. I wish they would go to 5 because again, the people that are on the fringe, they're out, right? And only maybe temporarily because what's going to happen is, and this is a big problem in Atlanta, by the way, a ton of potential sellers. And the reason I use the word potential is because they're sitting on the sidelines. They're like, Matt, we'd love to sell our house. We bought it 2, 3, 5 years ago and we hate it. It doesn't work for the pandemic. It doesn't work for we need 2 offices now for work from home.
Right.
We have half of an office right now or no office at all. And we're working off of a couch or, in the master bedroom. So, but they're sitting there and they're waiting. They're literally just waiting for more inventory. So it's interesting, here, my average price point's about 775-ish. So I do a lot below, a lot above, but most of it's like right there or just.
Is that the Atlanta market? That's the median price?
That's my average. Yeah, so the Atlanta market average is like 440. Yeah, 440.
Like, holy cow. God, Atlanta got expensive. All right, sorry.
No, you're good. But in context, Atlanta's like 440, 445, somewhere in there for the average metro Atlanta at least. So, let's just say it's 20% of the market that's made up by these, would-be sellers to become buyers. Well, the domino falls, the next domino falls, the next domino falls. And so if 20% of the market is just kind of sitting there waiting, I think 5% is what it could take to get them in. And also if they made $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 in equity at my price point is 770 or 775 or even 50, 75, $100,000 at the 440 average, that's a totally different price point that they could buy in. Yes, at 5, but also at 4 or 4.25. So regardless of where that interest rate goes, when you got that much equity sitting there and you hate your house, you would become a seller to a buyer if interest rates go up, even just a little bit. Those people I feel like are not quite as sensitive to rate anything, honestly, especially with the equity they've made.
Exactly. And that would be similar to before the big kickoff of the last housing boom that we had before. That was very similar to what happened then. There were a lot of people that are like, we're sitting on $100,000 worth of equity. We can go ahead and sell right now and we'll get our next house. And that's what I saw a lot in Florida at that time.
Yeah.
Jennifer Lego. Kristina, mods request merch and unis. What are unis? Oh, uniforms. Oh, I don't know. Maybe a unitard. That would be fun. I want to see all the dudes in unitards. That'd be really fun. I think everybody should get a mug at events. Oh, see, look, Elon Musk says, I've actually been living in a 50,000 house in the South Texas for the past 2 years. Not Boxable. Cool product, though. Feel more homey and to live in a small house. See, he did tweet that. That was... He did say that, but people today will call me and say, well, Elon Musk lives in one. I'm like, no, he doesn't. He flat out said, I saw it with my own 2 eyes. He did not look it up. He said, I do not live in a Boxable. It's great marketing though.
I was going to say, was that prior or before or after he bought 9% of the company?
So I will say
Twitter.
This is
Twitter.
Yeah. This was before he bought 9% of Twitter. The company Boxable has been trolling Elon Musk since when they first started, right? So when he was saying that he was going to put a spaceship to Mars, he was like, oh, you can put one of our Boxables. We could make Boxables on Mars. So they had like this guy come up with this computer rendering of the Boxables on a spaceship going to Mars, It was just all kitschy kind of fun stuff. And he kept trolling him. So it's been this ongoing thing that he uses, I guess, basically for marketing. It's kind of brilliant if you ask me. me,
Yeah.
but
He can
it
take
gets
it. He dishes it as well as he takes it. So yeah.
right. So if you can use a name like Elon Musk to even mention your product's name in a tweet, you won the war, man. You've
100%.
won the war. Someone,
100%.
if Musk wants to say anything about affordable housing and mention my name, you can have it, sir. If you're here, you know, Matt LaMarsh and I say, yeah, go for
100%.
it.
100%.
Yep. All right, Eddie. Well, let's get into the questions. We'll talk. Like, if you guys have any question about affordability, um, we got any questions about mortgage rates? I don't know. We can touch on what we know about mortgage rates, but we're not loan officers. But if you have any questions about putting your offers together, blah blah blah, whatever you want. 5% isn't bad. No, my first house, I got 7.5%, and people were like, "That's a really good rate, man. That's a really good rate." Yeah. Then 6% ain't bad either. Yeah. So I mean, we did it. I went 135,000 with taxes. At that time it was 135,000 with taxes in Florida. So that we got a postage stamp a lot, so our property taxes were still really high. It was our first home. I think our mortgage payment was $1,100. But that was 135,000 when there isn't many of those houses left.
No, there's not.
No, not funny, but just, Matt Daniels says, happy Palm Sunday in Louisiana. Thank you, Matt Daniels. Thumbs up to you all. Question. What is causing tear downs to suddenly be restored or even put up for historical listing? Do you cover all Louisiana with farms? I do not cover all Louisiana with farms. And I don't know what there has to be some kind of registry for your home to be considered historical. You can't just say, oh, my house is old, even though it's ate up with termites. It's historical now because it's over 100 years old. You can't do that. You have to have some historical significance. Was it part of the Underground Railroad? Did like anything, was this where Custard threw down a battlefield or, something, anything, find some historical relevance to that piece of property. You have to document the whole thing. There's a whole process on it. You just can't just say, yep, it's historical. My kid was born here. My lovely baby was here. Oh, Eddie, go ahead and pull up that poll I did. It wasn't even a poll. So I got this newsletter, Matt, that was talking about the most affordable cities that people are moving to and in their prices. And to me, when I think of affordable, I don't look at these prices as affordable because I know Atlanta's like really hot too. Look, it's 350,000. So top 5 affordable cities that everyone's moving to. Phoenix, Arizona, $453,200. Dallas, Texas, $385,000. Orlando, Florida, $356,000. Atlanta, $350,000, and then Tampa at $338,000. To me, I mean, that's not affordable pricing. When I think of affordable pricing, like I said, like $150,000 house, those houses that I purchased, like 10 years ago at 150,000 are now 338,000. Like that's crazy to me. To me, that's not affordable. And there's a statistic that came out from the National Association of Realtors that said people making an income from 75,000 to 100,000 trying to find a home right now used to be 1 in 25 homes was affordable to them. Now it's 1 in 65. And that was an article, that was a quote that was made by them 2 months ago. So it's probably 1 in 70 houses now that is affordable. And now they're having to fight like crazy dogs for that house to make it affordable for them, for people that are making 75,000 to 100,000. At one point, if you were making $100,000 a year, they're like, "Oh, I'm making 3 figures." That was like you made it. You're living the high life. Now it's like you're barely scraping by. And you can't even find a place to live.
Yeah.
I know Atlanta's like that bad.
It is. Well, and the only benefit of being in Atlanta now, I think, in the last 2 years, this has really been accentuated that, we always, just like every other major city, right? Like big downtown commercial district that everyone would come into and then go back out to the burbs. Well, we've been undervalued for a long time. And I'm sure there's other cities around the US that this probably resonates with, because a lot of people 10 years were moving here. and at 250 being the average, 200 being the average, they were like, this is incredible. And now people are moving here, and the average, you saw the median, it's 350, you said? I see another one that says 375, but the average being 440. That's still really affordable when you look at that geographic downtown area. Because if you compare it to like a New York, a Chicago, or LA, Seattle, out west, pretty much anywhere, honestly, it's actually pretty affordable considering theirs are double ours. But what we're doing is we're just expanding out.
I was going to say Atlanta has a sprawl, right?
Huge sprawl.
They've been growing this way. One of them was Phoenix, Arizona, and they are just right here, right?
Yeah.
You go visit Phoenix, Arizona, and I want you to just take a look outside. They have a homeless population that is humongous because there's no affordable housing. And it's like, as soon as you say affordable housing, people think it's a dirty word. I'm like, I'm talking about housing that's affordable for the firemen that are living in the area trying to buy a house. Like your local mailman 15 years ago could buy a house. Now he can't because there isn't anything in his price range. That's wrong. There has to be, something's got to give. Spotting says, I already been quoted 5.8% interest and he has good credit, or she, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I misgendered you. That is crazy to me.
That is crazy.
I did see one that was 5.47, but their credit was a little janky. I'm not gonna lie. Their credit was a little janky.
That's crazy.
The fact that they were getting approved, that was a step in the right direction. Horn Construction said, question, the low inventory has risen rental rates. What is the rental rates gone in your area? Have they gone up exponentially?
Yeah, I was just trying to pull up the latest number because I think it was 2021, 18.5%. And the two prior years, 3%, 4%. Right. But when you only look at 18, you're like, I mean, that sounds like a big number. Contextual, though, to the 3 or 4, you're like, wait, what? And that's why I say, again, we were super affordable. And again, relatively speaking, still are. But the acceleration, I mean, it's been more like hockey stick than probably a lot of other areas, right? But yeah, we still have the sprawl going on too, and that's also affecting rentals. I have a rental property that was our first home that we bought. Last year, 2021, it rented for $1,500. Now it's renting at $1,850, and that's not even the market rate. Like the market's like $1,900 to $2,100. So, but that's like 45 minutes outside the city, and it's going to continue. Like that sprawl, like you said, is going to continue to go out, and that's going to affect prices. That's going to pull values out, but it's also going to make the rents go up that are in town, because now to have access, you're going to have to pay a premium.
So average rent in Atlanta and rent prices trend. Let me scroll that down. Boy, there's lots of people on that article that put in their data. That's good. Average rent for Atlanta studio apartment is $1,718. Average rent in a one-bedroom apartment is $1,831. Average rent for a two-bedroom is $2,388. I don't even pay that on my mortgage. Three-bedroom rent is $2,884. Well, if you're already paying $2,300, you might as well just go ahead and throw in another $400. Why not? Get yourself an extra bedroom. Wow, look at the trend. So national trend is the one in the gray, the one on the bottom. So that's the national trend. Then the Atlanta trend is kind of almost along a little bit higher than the national trend, but all of Georgia's rent, that pink line, the one that's the color of my hair, or purpley pink, that's way higher. So it is the whole entire state that's going up like that. In my area, we have a house that we could currently rent it for, I think, what is it, 1,600, Eddie? I don't know if he's going to answer me. It's like 1,600, or it was like right at 1,700. We have these renters that are really good, and we're like, she's like, we can't do that. Like we got to move out. And I'm like, why? And she's like, well, one of the renters is one of the people that was renting with us. They can't, pay the $1,600. And I'm like, well, what's affordable for you? And she's like, well, we could pay $13.75. And I'm like, they've been good renters. This covers our costs. Stay. I don't want to deal with people. I don't want to deal with people. Just stay. And we know them, it's like, we know them. We know they're not going to trash the place. We know they're not going to be dealing with the wacky tobacco. And we had that problem. We've had that problem where they thought we couldn't smell it. I'm like, it was so strong. Like, we're in the driveway and it's like permeating out of the house. Like, and I don't care. Like, just, don't be stupid. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Is that in the lease?
Don't be stupid. Stupid it should be. And Jerry Prusa says, what is a reasonable listing fee? And what should that fee include? It depends on your area. That's customary to your area and every agent. And it depends on what they do. So listing fees in our area, I've seen them as high as like 3.5% on the listing side and 2.5 to 3.5 on the selling side. But they include, like, they would stage the house. They're, of course, all the video and all that other stuff they're supposed to do. And then, they have like an ample package that goes with that cost of the listing. Then you have people that are like, oh, I'm only 1%, but they're taking pictures with their cell phone outside their car window. They're not, they're like, they barely negotiate the thing. They're just putting it in the MLS. You have to do your own negotiations. They'll send you over the paperwork, but it's up to you to fill it out. You're doing your own, basically your own transaction. They only did was put it on the MLS. So it's all negotiations. If you don't feel like that listing agent is going to give you enough for that particular listing fee, go with another listing agent, So what is it you say in your area, Matt?
Yeah. So just like you said, there is no standard. There is no typical. Commissions are all negotiable. But here in Atlanta, we're seeing anywhere on the list side from about where you said 2.25, 2.5, up to like 3.5, and a lot of packaging going on with that right now between staging, contractors coming in and giving estimates and so on and so forth. On the buy side, 25% of the homes currently for sale and being purchased, so both sides. So you could really argue almost 50% of the market is being handled with institutional stuff right now. And so a lot of institutional buying and a lot of institutional selling. So open door and iBuyer programs out there that are, have already been around the Atlanta market for a while are now selling. And some of them are also buying. So
I heard that you guys are getting a lot of buyers from those groups of people. Lots. They say it's like your market and Phoenix, Arizona are the two most bought from institutional buyers, like corporations, like Blackstone, Homes for Rent, like all these places, Homes for Rent, all of them.
And I think that just goes back to I think that just goes back to the affordability thing, right? Like big risk, big reward, small risk, small reward. Yeah, if you do it over a couple thousand homes every year, I mean, it really starts to add up, right? So, but on the buy side, anywhere from 1%, if the listing agent shows your buyer that home, even in an open house, all the way up to 2.25, 2.5, as low as 2, and more often than not, we're seeing 2.5 to like 3.5% on the buy side. And a lot of it just depends on how that conversation goes. I always tell my sellers that in order to attract a higher level of agent, we have to pay them what they're worth. They have built businesses, number one, but number two, they have the active buyers, the qualified buyers, the people that are ready to go. They're not just, some lead that came off of a website somewhere. They are legitimate people that are, writing real offers, really, because there's so much other fluff out there. And I include the institutional in the fluff, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're ones to go like, oh, we want it, and then they do their inspection period, and they go, oh, we're not. Well, we don't think it's worth that much, and then then people think there's something wrong with the house.
Right.
I thought the contract was like back on the market in 2 seconds. You're like, yeah, well, it's because they don't care. They didn't even know what they were buying. They had no idea what they were buying. Somebody behind a desk said, put it off. Yeah. I have a question for you real quick before we get to CC Moon real quick.
Sure.
Do you represent, like, if you have the listing side, will you bring a buyer when you represent both sides of the transaction?
So here in Georgia, they do allow you to do dual, what they call
Dual
dual
agent.
agency. Right.
Uh-huh.
My brokerage does not allow it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm actually in the middle of a transaction right now where I had a buyer. We were looking, getting beat out on everything and anything
Mm-hmm.
we made offers on. We went and looked at a property, and I was like, hey, I do have a listing coming up, but it's not in this area. It's not even remotely close to the size. And he's like, let's look at it. And I was like, okay, but just understand, I'm representing her now,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
you are just a customer. And so I'm not telling him, what she'll take. And there's very, very strict guidelines here on, who you're representing and who your fiduciary responsibility is to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up representing her. We haven't closed it yet. It closes at the end of this month, but I ended up representing her as a client, the seller. And then
Mm-hmm.
he came in as a buyer, customer to me. So there was no other
Mm-hmm.
agent involved. But I have done other deals like that in the past. Right now I have 23 buyers, and
Mm-hmm.
most of them are kind of doing this where they're like, yeah, we really want to be in Sandy Springs or Dunwoody. And then they go, okay, we'll do both of those. And then 30 days goes by and they're like, Alpharetta looks nice.
Yeah, Roswell is looking really good. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That,
by proxy, then, I get a lot of, shots at listing appointments and have the opportunity to work a lot of off market deals, which honestly is a huge value to my clients on both sides. Just access right now is a big deal. So, have worked those types of deals in the past, but you got to be very, very careful. And you do have to document stuff very, very carefully.
I'd rather have my eyes chewed out by dull-toothed hamsters slowly than to do a dual agency. I will not
Seriously.
do it. I will not do
So
it. No way.
when you when you explain a dual agency agreement to an attorney, they look at you like you have three heads because it doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense at all. You can't
No, it's
represent two
really,
people.
that's bad. Bad. Christina says no. But I mean, people do it. So here she is. Miss Cece Moon said, Christina and Matt, have you ever sold a haunted home? Has a home ever given you the weird heebie jeebies, the little weird vibes, little bad mojo? Do you ever get that? Have you ever sold a
Ladies
haunted
first.
home?
I want to hear yours first. Yeah, surely you have.
I have not sold a house that was technically haunted, but I had been in a house when I was a fairly new agent. It was a brand new house. It was brand new, and it gave me bad vibes. I
Hmm.
told Eddie, I was like, "This house, it smelled funny. It looked like it was a bad. There was something bad going on in that house." And this is
Hmm.
when the market was kind of like it was starting to tank, and the
Hmm.
builder insisted we have an open house every single day. Every single day. But every time I went in there, like something felt off about that house. That house has
Hmm.
been up for sale, listed, and bought and sold probably 4 or 5 times now. So I think there's something. I think there's something. There's
That's
something like,
weird.
yeah. There's some bad mojo in that house. There's something. There's like Indian barrel ground underneath that thing. I don't know what it is. There's definitely.
Interesting.
Have you
Interesting.
got anything?
It was also kind of that heebie-jeebies, but there was something super weird that happened at this house. So I listed a property, I think it was back in 2020 now, so almost 2 years ago. And the lady was the daughter
Mm-hmm.
of the mother that used to own the home. And that mother had been placed in assisted living. She was in her 90s and moving on to the next stage of life. And the daughter, lived in Nashville. So she was
Mm-hmm.
commuting back and forth trying to get her affairs in order and everything and move her and, get the house sold and so on and so forth. So, anyway, long story short, the home itself was actually built by one of the builders in our neighborhood. So it's
Mm-hmm.
here in my neighborhood. And there were like 4 or 5 different builders that all came together and built these homes, right? Some of them were split level, some of them were traditional ranches, but these were like the 50s, 60s, and like early 70s ranches. Well,
Mm-hmm.
this one builder said, I'm going to take this, like, I think it was almost an acre and a half, which in our neighborhood's like 2, 3 times the average size. And he
Mm-hmm.
was like, I'm going to take this lot, I'm going to make a little cut back down to the creek back there, I'm going to make it mine, right? So he ended
Mm-hmm.
up taking this lot, putting his house on it. So it was like an L-shaped ranch, had a 2-car carport, and down in the basement there was a legit bomb shelter, like legit bomb shelter, like wood paneling on the top of it with like cinder block ceiling. So if the house collapsed in on itself, you would be fine in that room. But the problem was, I mean, I'm not a small guy, so I'm like 6'3" and like 220 ish. But the opening was like this big to get in the hallway into it, and then it turned and went into the room, and it was like a 10 by 10 room. So I had to kind of like do this to get into it or
Oh, I would
whatever.
not like that.
It was so creepy. And so I had to go into it at some point because I'm like, I'm going
Gotta
to
do
list this
it.
house. People are going to want
Uh-huh.
to know what that room is. So I went
Uh-huh.
into it and I go to like flick on the switch. There's a light switch in there, no power, but like a little cot
Oh.
that, they had a really bad storm, a tree might fall, whatever. They would sleep down there when they had like tornadoes and anyway. But this is the creepiest part. I'm getting goosebumps as I'm telling you this. So I
Uh-huh.
was over there a lot because it's in my neighborhood. She was traveling back and forth. We did a big estate sale, and then we had two dumpsters come out and like completely clean it out. Over the course of like probably 6 or 7 months, I was in and out of that house once a week, every other week. But down in the basement where this bomb shelter was, one of the doors closed by itself. And it wasn't like a slow, like it slammed. I'm getting goosebumps again. It slammed and it freaked me out. Like, because I'm just sitting there, like, I'm walking around, picking up a couple final things from the dumpsters and stuff and kind of unloading, helping her clean out. And one of the doors legit slammed closed. And I was like, I'm getting out of here. It was, oh, so creepy.
Anytime anybody says we have a bomb shelter and it only has a single cot just laying in the back, like we go down there during tornadoes. There's like my spidey senses go, I don't know about that. Something's not feeling, not getting that. That's a fresh feeling. I don't like that at all. Christina says no. Yeah, no, no. And I've had like just other weird things happen. I had one time I walked in a house and there was a guy in the closet. That was it wasn't haunted. There was just people in there. I've had people like I've opened the door and there are people sleeping when there wasn't supposed to be anybody there. So, oh here, look, there's this in the attic. This one right here. Like
Yeah,
where there's
not creepy.
dolls. I've
Not
had
creepy at all.
the doll like people with like dolls that are sitting in chairs in the living room. Like there's no like the whole everything's set up like a perfectly normal living room, and then they have a tiny rocking chair with a doll sitting in it. Don't like that. Don't like that. But I mean, I wouldn't say it's haunted. I just say it's kind of like you're just trying to freak people out.
One buyer I was helping, I went into a house and they had a basement, like an unfinished storage area in the basement. And
Uh-huh.
evidently one of the sellers was like really into like MMA and uh, you know like UFC type fighting
Oh, okay.
because I like walk into the room. It's a pretty good sized room, but like I saw a punching bag over in the corner, but the light wasn't on. So I flipped the light on. Over in the corner was like one of these dummies, like the wrestling dummies they use. So it's just like a big bean bag, but it looks like a person and it's got a head and everything. It made my heart skip like 3 beats. I was like, oh my God, what is that?
Oh,
But that buyers out there, you go first. I'll go in behind you. And sellers, if you have stuff like in the in your house, hide it so you don't kill an agent in your basement.
I always make my buyers walk in front of me. Always.
Yeah, yeah,
But that's an actual realtor safety tip,
yeah,
by the way.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
because you don't want your back turned around. Because a lot of times you meet these people online, you have no idea who they are.
Yeah.
And there's been plenty of cases where real estate agents have had the worst happen to them because like you think you vet these people out. I mean, they've given all their documentation and their driver's license and everything else. You're thinking, oh, what could happen? And then it happens. So that's
Yeah,
why they
two,
always walk in front of me.
yeah.
So,
Hmm.
Eddie, we got a question you want to throw up on the screen there? I appreciate it. Jal Shaw says, Africa says, question, last year I took a second job to get ahead of inflation and have some extra money to buy. How long will it take before my second income can be counted towards qualifying for the larger loan amount? Can you answer that there, Matt?
Great question. So I'm going to caveat this with not a lender, not financial advice,
Right.
but based on what my lenders have told me in the past about, a lot of people getting into like the sharing economy, Uber driving, whatever, not
Hmm.
even just for the money, just to be doing something,
Survive.
especially through the pandemic, yeah, and
Hmm.
like be around people. 2 years is what I've been told for part-time or what you might call like side hustle income.
Right. But if your credit is good, it'd be as little as 6 months. It,
Correct.
Not lender. Not I'm not a lender. Matt and I are not lenders, but I've seen it 6 months. If you've got really good credit, that can be
Hmm.
counted. Um, Especially if it falls along the same. avenue of what your profession is.
Hmm.
So, Jerry Prusa says, "Can we get a link of the top 5 affordable cities article?" Oh, that was from Better. Yeah, I'll have to pull that up. Uh, Matt, start talking while I pull this up. Make up a story. Tell a story about Smurfs or something. Better.
Yeah, no, well, I think that list hasn't really changed in 2 years either. It's been interesting,
Uh-huh.
pre-pandemic, we were already there. Like we've always
Mhm.
kind of been in the top 10 for the affordable side of things. But now it's funny, I put out a TikTok, I think like 2 or 3 weeks ago talking about this, about how affordable Atlanta is. And I gave like my 2 or 3 reasons why you should move to Atlanta. Everyone from Atlanta watched that. Everyone from Atlanta watched that video. And they
Wow.
all commented, it's not affordable anymore. Stop telling people to move here and so on and so forth.
Well,
But
y'all have high taxes. That is one thing. Like you could have, sure, you could find an expensive house, but your
mhm,
taxes are high. Like the taxes in Roswell are high. I'm sorry.
mhm.
That's an expensive place to live.
Yeah, that's just
The
north of
cost
where
of
I
living
am.
is
Yeah.
expensive to
Fulton
live
County
in
is not
Atlanta.
cheap. Not cheap at
No,
all.
no.
Not at all.
Has rent increased because the government is sticking its nose under the tent and helping people pay their rent? No, no. There really hasn't like been like here was the thing that like there was a there was a thing that was going on. They're like, oh, that's because all these people are getting checks, but people weren't moving rental units. What's really happening to a lot of people, and it's been a big problem in tourist destination places, or people were normally like, hey, we're going to go rent a house as a group together. We're going to go rent here and we're going to go work at the shoreline, right? Well, now there is no houses for these groups of people to go work and rent. There isn't any for them to go. As a matter of fact, some people that have been living in a rental house for the last, I don't know, year and a half have been kicked out because those homes have been turned into Airbnbs. That is a real problem down in Key West. It's been a big problem in a lot of other places in near Montana. Montana, that like I've had this guy Will Frieder on here several times, and he has said that they can't find any place for people to work, like and live. There just isn't. Like they want all these people. There are always help wanted signs, and people say, "Oh, they don't want to work. Nobody wants to work. They're living off the government." No, they're not. They have no place to live. They can't drive to your location. Like yeah,
Hmm.
you can't find anybody to work there because there's no place for them to live, and they're only working for peanuts. So you know, I don't know.
It's
I wouldn't
true.
drive out of my way for $2.14 an hour and hopefully get some good tips. I wouldn't do it. Forget it.
Well, and you know Atlanta well enough, but every time I'm in an Uber around Atlanta, I ask where those people are from. Like, hey, where do you live? All
Mhm.
of them are outside of the city.
Yeah.
None of them live inside this. And some of them come from the south to the north
Mhm.
because everything you mentioned earlier, the area, but the taxes, I mean, everything is more expensive up here. So
Mhm.
naturally, people have more money. So yeah, probably going to tip better too.
Yeah. You can't blame them. But they guess what they do? They
Not at
get
all.
back in their car and they drive their happy butt right back where the taxes are cheap. Mystery Machine One. Ooh, I wonder if he's got a mystery for us. Question: what's the process of rezoning a property in general terms, and is it worth the hassle? Can realtors also assist with similar situation for an opportunity? Okay, in my area, you got to know some people in order to have a property rezoned, and you have to have a reason, a really good reason why that property needs rezoned. We just had an expansion of a highway that was pretty well traveled, and they expanded it out. So a lot of area on the front of that highway now is considered mixed use. Some people have flat out turned it straight into commercial property now. So even though there's houses there, now some of those homes can be considered commercial, and you can run a business out of them because it's right along the highway. I own a rental property there, and it's considered mixed use. You just have to know the right people, and yes, it can be done, but you're better know some people, and you better know the right people to get it done. I would get a good title attorney to come up with a reason why it should be rezoned. What do you have to say,
Absolutely.
Matt?
Same thing. So before I got into real estate, I was president of our HOA. Don't ask me why. For 4 years. And we were we were being bombarded with new development at the time,
Hmm. Hmm.
for commercial, residential, mixed use. I mean, everything, literally
Hmm.
everything. And it was redevelopment. It wasn't just development, right?
Right.
So I got a firsthand lesson on how this process works, number one, but just like you said, number two, you've got to know the right people. And it can be the right agent. There are a lot of agents that is their niche, that, especially commercial agents normally deal with this a lot more than residential agents do. But here in Atlanta, if you buy two or three lots that are an acre each or 2 acres each, and you want to put a 20 home, subdivision, or, townhome development, whatever, it is a very lengthy process. And what happens, at
Yeah.
least here, is that they get a contract on the lot, homes, fill in the blank, whatever you're trying to redevelop, and then they got to go to that city, municipality, and then go through a long checklist of soil testing and everything else to prove that, and every county is different. So not even across interstate lines is it super different, but like 5 minutes down the road in Cobb County versus Fulton County, where I am, it's wildly different. So what happens here cannot happen there, and vice versa. So, but it can be months, if not years, sometimes, to rezone stuff, especially on the commercial side. Impact's
Right,
huge.
because you have to show the impact of what
Hmm.
it would do to that area, good and bad, and that
Yep.
takes time.
Yeah.
There's a whole process of approval, you know?
Crow, I was not spawn of the devil. I was a good HOA president. I know that's like an oxymoron, but I just wanted to serve my community and be able to say, look, I did my 4 years. Don't ask me for any volunteer roles ever again.
I once became the president of my daughter's Louisiana Youth Orchestra, and that was service I rendered for 2 years that I'm glad I put in my work and walked away. Like never again. So when they've asked me to be on the HOA board here, I'm like, no, I prefer not. Nope. I'll just give that to somebody else. That's on you, my friend.
Yeah.
Question: is it me or is this guy Ben Affleck lookalike? Yeah, you are kind of a Ben Affleck lookalike. Look at you.
A lot of people have said that. I don't see it. And even in high school, I got that a lot. I remember getting it for the first time, and I'm like,
I think
the
it's you got the
actor?
little, yeah, like you got the
It's
dimple,
this.
you got the
It's the
teeth.
smile. Yeah, something.
Yeah, yeah, you
Yeah.
definitely got it. You definitely got it. Wow,
He's
wow.
a good
So
looking
we're
guy. I'll take it.
yeah. So I don't know if anybody knows, but next week is Easter Sunday. I want to ask you guys in the chat. There's over 433 of you in the chat. Yeah. Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely. 100%. 100%. Yeah. It's you. Are you? Wait, are you back with Jennifer Lopez? Is that yeah? I heard those two are back together. Oh, anyways, next week is Easter. Do you guys want me to do a show next week, or do you want me to take the day off? This is entirely up to you. You all 434 of you right now, they're in the chat. Let me know in the chat if you think that I should go ahead and do a show on Sunday, or should I do the Easter holidays with the kids. Even though my kids, I'm gonna be honest, my kids are like older. They don't really like do the Easter bunny thing. So, you know, wait, hold on. Let's see. Put up a poll. And he
There you
doesn't
go.
know how to do that. I haven't shown him how to do that. So, take the day off. Take the day off. Please do a show next week. I might be if I do one, it's going to be very casual because I can't request people to show up on Easter Sunday. So it'll be just me. It'll be just me. Oh, hold on. What'd you say? Oh, the poll is up. Eddie said he figured out how to do a poll. Hold on. I don't know why. Like all of a sudden, this test came through my earpiece. It was like it was testing the microphone. That is so weird. Weird. Super weird. Anyways, well, we're right at the top of the hour. If anybody wants to get a hold of you, Matt LaMarsh, who I think is Ben Affleck in disguise trying to show off, let me know. Let me know.
Yeah,
Like
taking a break from acting to do some real estate.
yeah. Well, how can people find you? Because they want to see for themselves if you're not Ben Affleck.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think Instagram's probably the easiest way. At Matt period LaMarsh. We do daily stories there. We do funny videos there. We do reels there. We do educational stuff there. It's almost like YouTube for me is like, little deposits in every little thing. So we got some car stuff there. We got some business stuff there. We got a little bit of family stuff there as well. It's not
You
just
sell
all about.
cars?
No, 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 no. I'm just really passionate about Porsches. So we got like
Oh, oh, okay. I
the
was like,
cars
oh my
everywhere.
God, are you a car salesman? I was like,
No,
I was gonna be
no.
like, dude, man, I was completely wrong about you. Whoa.
No, no, I just like cars. I've always been into cars, and so that's one of my passions. But yeah, we do cars, we do real estate, a little bit of real estate, and not like just solds and just listeds, and it's like actual tangible advice that you can take, just like this, and go and do something with. So
Yeah.
I
Look at
always
this.
appreciate it.
Matt, do you know how cool my people are that come and visit every single week? Look at this right here. I'm so impressed. Look at this. My friend Vince at VCG Construction. When I first started on YouTube, I had like, I don't know, 10 subscribers. Vince was starting his channel. He had much more than I did. He was like, I think he was probably at over 10,000 at that point. He was like we would commiserate about YouTube all the time. And he was helping me and I was helping him. And we even did like a collaboration. But to this day, we're still friends. Vince from VCG Construction. You guys got to go check them out over there. If you want to know anything about tools, I mean, anything about tools, they got Milwaukee. They've got all the other DeWalt, all of them. I don't know. I don't know tools. I'm not even going to pretend I do. But they're super entertaining. That was the best part about it. Like I could care less about tools and stuff. But when they first were doing this, they were doing like a little bit of construction stuff on different job sites. So that's how I started watching them. Super nice guy. Like you gotta check them out. They're
That's
nice.
awesome.
Yeah, I met them out in Texas one time too, and then they put me in a toolbox because to prove how small I actually am. I'm like, look, I can fit in a toolbox. So we went to Home Depot and I stuffed myself in a toolbox. And
That's
another time
awesome.
on a live stream, I put myself in a clothes dryer. I can fit in a clothes dryer.
What? A standard dryer?
Yeah, I can fit in
No
it.
way. Wow.
Yeah, I
Huh.
know. I know. Christina's crazy. All the time, people always say, look at this. Look, they'll say, Christina, it isn't that the cup is that big. It's that Christina's just that small. Oh, look. And then when you really want to go and find Matt LaMarsh, you can go over to Ben Affleck Official. And there he is. Check
That's
him
right.
out.
Yeah.
Oh, look. You're so buff, Matt.
I mean,
Dang.
in the off season I work out, so
See, look, there he is, Vince, once again with the 1999 super chat says, the Rue Crew is the YouTube guru.
mm,
So I used to be your real estate whisperer. So if you take that out, so it's
uh-huh.
Rue Crew. They used to be
Yeah.
calling themselves the Rue Crew. So
Dear geez, I like it. I like it.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Everybody, listen, if you're watching this as a replay, and I know we kind of went off the rails a little bit, but that's what makes this show very fun. Put your questions below, and Matt and I will answer them. If you want to know anything about the Atlanta market and more about the Atlanta market, go ahead and visit Matt LaMarsh on his secret account away from being Ben Affleck when he says escaping Hollywood. Go over there, Matt dot LaMarsh. You
You
said
got it.
period. I'm like, people are going to type out the word period. They're going to put Matt.
That's actually a
Yes,
good name. Yeah, Matt Perry LaMarche.
yeah. No, don't do that. No, that's not a good day. That's gross. All right. And then we're gonna do this. Look, so if you want if you want a referral and you don't want to talk to Matt and you want somebody else, you can go visit me right here at KristinaSmallhorn.com. You could go and book a collaboration if you want to work with me on a video, or if you want to work with me to find a good real estate agent in your area, just go to KristinaSmallhorn.com. Click that button right there. It says book here, and then fill out that referral form. And I will get in contact with you. I actually talk to you on the phone if you leave your phone number. If you don't leave your phone number, I can't. I'm not that good. I'm not that good at investigating. I'm not going to look you up like that. So, Matt, I want to appreciate you. I want everybody to appreciate Matt and spending the time with us today.
No,
Over
thank you.
450 of you came in today just to hear us blabber about real estate and what's going on in this crazy real estate market. Is there anything else you want to add to the group there?
No, thank you so much for the opportunity. As always, always have fun with you, whether it's here or Clubhouse. So I just really appreciate your time and effort here. It's absolutely amazing what you built here.
Oh, well, thank you. It's not about me. It's about them in the group, like in the chat. They come up every week and like they have the best questions, and it always makes me think. And if I don't know, I end up looking it up. So it ends up turning into a video at some point in the future. So
I love it.
We're going to be talking about land this week. If anybody's interested, on Tuesday, there's going to be a video that comes out about land, getting some land if you want to invest in some dirt in the future. So
I hear they're not making anymore.
Yes, that is a dwindling product. So, all right, everybody. So long. Eddie's gonna put on some music. So long, farewell. Evita Zane, goodbye. I love that. I sing that to my clients when they're leaving. Really? I'm like, oh yeah, I'll be like, bye. So long, farewell. Evita Zane, goodbye. And they're like,
they love you. Yeah.
I know. And then I'll tell them like, I'm crazy though. I'll be like, don't talk to strangers. Don't talk to strangers. See you later.
Has YouTube seen the hair yet, or no?
Oh, I don't know. Did we see my hair? Oh my God, baby, I'm a star. Mm-hmm. Check it out. Can you see it good? I don't know. Maybe we can see it.
Yeah.